Hey y'all, Monk Joseph here with the Broken Buddha. We're going to cover the Wing Chun double trap break again, alright? So, moving on from the other videos. So, last time I made a mistake and I want to correct it because I do care about the different section groups and we're going to explain how these all work, right? So, we're just going to jump right into it. So, you're talking about a double trap, right? And what is a double trap? So, I'm fighting somebody, they get me here, I turn and they come down here, right? So now you're stuck in a double trap, happens really quick. I'm glad I made the mistake in the last video because it gave me a third option of understanding for those that are beginners or intermediates, or people who just make mistakes like myself. All right, so you have the original, the Wing Chun, the Hong Kong Wing Chun. You're here, right, left or right, you break up. Now I like this because it's so structurally strong. I mean, I can pivot back a little bit and really step back and get a lot of weight off me. So, I mean, if you know how to structurally support yourself, this one, boom, boom, just pop up really quick, and you kind of roll your forearms across where their hands would be, and either trapping their hand, removing their hand, or maybe even breaking their hand, depending on how it's sitting. Okay. Now with the Fo Shan one, when you're here, I had articulated that you would, and it was right over left, that you would roll. I actually over rolled my arm in, not thinking, because it's more of a pivot than it is like a full rolling out, right? So, but now you have the third option. But the thing I like about what I remembered and realized is if you are doing, we'll call it the pivot, right? So we'll call this Hong Kong breaking, we'll call this Fo Shan pivot, and then we'll call this Fo Shan roll. And the Fo Shan roll, I like that because it's good to know what to do in mistakes. You're never gonna be perfect in a fight, guys. Stop training to be perfect in a fight, okay? So if you get stuck, what I learned, you just dump the elbows, all right? So if you're going for a Fo Shan pivot, coming up into a double tan sao out of the trap, you have more options. So let's start there. So as you're coming up here, you could easily, depending on how big or strong the attack coming in is once you're, and by the way, what I'm talking about when I say Fo Shan pivot, right over left, and instead of coming a full wrap, you see my right arm going underneath, you're just going to pivot the right hand over top and throw a double tan sao out. And this is a lot more structurally sound too than rolling back through all the way. But I look at rolling back all the way through as a mistake. And all you're going to do if you ever get stuck in your technique in a fight, just dump your elbows and step back and you'll be ready. So I mean, you're here, you're at least ready to strike. You can tan sao, you can fook sao. Obviously, you can always throw bong saos to get out of the way. But I slipped on a thing. Always be aware of your surroundings. New lesson. But yeah, you can always go into those things out of that. But if you get stuck and you don't know what to do, that's when you're in trouble because your brain's gonna lock up. So at least you know now if your hands get stuck breaking a double trap, dump your elbows and shoot back a little bit. As long as there's nobody behind you, and we'll get into those kind of techniques if there is later. We'll cover that in a different video. All right, so there you have it. I like the Hong Kong trap break up for overall strength, but the Fo Shan one, you have options because based on the size of the guy, once you're here, you may need to modify to come here with two arms to lift somebody's strike up. I mean, depending on how many or who's coming in and where they're coming in. But in the pivot, you can also choose to throw the double tan sao. So it's highly unlikely that you're going to change a technique in mid-point like that. But it does happen, and you do have to be ready, and you do need to have an option for when you make a mistake because you're not as good as you thought you were. Or if the oncoming strike is a little heavier than you thought it was, and you have to use both arms to lift, and you can't just double tan sao out of it. So there you have it. I feel like I made a mistake saying that it was the rolling way, and I've seen all kinds of different ways to break double traps. But now you have a third option. You have the Fo Shan pivot style, which leaves you with two options when you get to here. You have the Hong Kong break option, which is going to break with more structural capacity. And then you have the, I just messed up, and how to dump your elbows. All right? All right, so there you go. Now you have it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for stopping by. Peace and blessings.